Welcome to Kebjet the podcast. Luisa, Guerreiro, actor, and her partner, Mike Archer, filmmaker and actor as well.
Hello, hello.
Welcome to Space House Studio.
It's super cool. Super
It
cool.
is very cool.
We must say welcome to Alfie as well.
Yes, Alfie. He's 8 weeks old and he has come with the right. We're just his entourage right now.
So maybe we can start there as the whole family dynamic, film industry. How does that work?
With great difficulty.
Well, I think logistically, but I'm finding more and more now, which is really comforting, that there are people who have children who work in the film industry and there's a lot of empathy and support. Like, when I've worked on things, if you have a child, a lot of the time, they're like, oh, cool, let's just bring them in or we'll see if we can work around you. Sometimes it doesn't happen for logistical reasons. They can't. Like, there are jobs I haven't got because I was pregnant. It's just a health and safety thing, not like a discriminatory thing. It's just like, oh, we're doing stunts this day in a mocap shoot. Literally, you're not going to be able to do it. And I don't think you'd want to anyway. I'm like, cool. So that's work I've missed. And it will go to someone else who it's actually appropriately for. But otherwise, it's, let's see if we can work around you. You have an appointment that day with a midwife. Cool. Or we need to drop her off at nursery, the other one. So
how does it work in the household, job-wise?
Oh, yeah. That's a conversation we had before even having kids.
Yeah, no, I think that's something we talked about where we've always said that if one person is doing something, the other person has to take up the
we compromise.
mantle with it.
And if we've both had work, the options are we see if we can get childcare because we don't want anyone to be compromised in their career if it's unnecessary. Like, even if it's something that's free but you really are passionate about, let's see if we can make it work for both of us.
Sure.
But if we can't, then we have to have a conversation about, and this is where friends of mine who have kids, it's like, well, one of them has not worked for a while because the other one has a job that's actually bringing in a lot more money. So that's been the one, just financially, just boring life stuff. They're like, well, that's the one that has to keep. That's the one that has to stay. And then the other person has been like, well, I have to wait. But I have friends who've like, one partner's been doing really well and works like in the film industry, but because they've been working, the other one has had to be at home taking care of the kids. And that can feel really frustrating if you are a creative and you feel like you're just spending your time taking care of your children who you love dearly, but you're not flourishing in your own creative sphere.
Sure.
That's kind of the biggest challenge, isn't it?
So we've had that conversation of let's just, as you know, like in this industry, you never know what's around the corner.
So
let's just go with the flow and see what happens.
But also, I think the very fact that we're both like, because we're both in the industry, like we understand that, and so it's easy to have those conversations and know what you need to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is quite tricky to sort of deal with, I guess, personal feelings when one person is doing well and the other person has to be at home with.
What was the biggest shock that you thought maybe you were prepared for before children?
I mean, I'm used to spinning plates. It's my biggest thing. I'm like, I'm spinning plates again, spinning 20 plates. And he's always like, well, pick the most important plate. They're all important. And he's like, they can't all be, there are a domino effect on every plate has a Fabergé egg on it. They're all important. And I just didn't.
Them all fall.
Yeah. I think that we weren't prepared for the sleep deprivation. And then it is logistics. It's like, pets are one thing. We've got a cat. And we're like, okay, find someone to take care of the cat if we go on holiday. That's a palaver. We've got to find someone we trust because he's a family member. But then it's like, oh, there's the stuff that comes with children, the lack of space. Like, we want to stay in London, but London's expensive. All of those things. It's just, this is the biggest plate you spin and it's the most important. But then you have to work it around life and financing and your own mental health. And do you have time for the gym? No. What can you do? You find yourself eating like Tunnock's cakes at 1:00 in the morning because the child is up and you're like, I just need some emotional support. And you're like, I'm getting it out of like a meringue. This is not cool. But also my eyes are falling and I'm holding a child. So you try and make it work. And I think if you've always tried to do everything, it's hard to take that step back. And then if you're used to being laid back, then it's hard to suddenly kick in a gear because you're exhausted.
Yeah.
That's the biggest challenge that I found with it was I think the realization that you had before kids, you had a lot of freedom.
Yeah.
So like, it happened recently. Like there was a director friend of mine who's doing a play and he asked me if I wanted to do it. And straight away I was like, oh yeah, cool. Amazing. Actor mindset going, oh, someone's offered me a job. Great. I'm going to be there. And then I spoke to him about it and asked where it was and how long it was going to be and what any pay was going to be. And he told me, and in my head I was like, that's fine, that's amazing. But then having to have a conversation with Lou about the logistics involved Lou was the one who actually turned around and just sort of bluntly went, essentially like, wait, how much?
Is that
It's like,
our fee?
and I was like, oh, well, it's this much. Like, and she was like, is that per week? What? And I was like, no, that's the full amount.
So 2 weeks.
So and then it was
1 week
like
of rehearsal.
no, it was 3 weeks rehearsals, 2-week run. And I was like, oh,
and
wait,
you equated it for the run.
And I'd equated it for everything.
Great.
And so she was like,
and I was like, wait, but there's 3 weeks rehearsal where I'm now taking care of like 2 children now.
And then it was literally just sitting down and
working out the maths and looking at the logistics of all of that. That in the end, like, yeah, the actor brain in me was like, I want to do it because I'll be on stage and I'll be doing something.
Yeah,
it'd be amazing.
That's fulfilling.
Yeah. And then the other practical parent side of me went, no, I can't.
Is there any part of being new parents that the children bring out some sort of new creative?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You had that.
Yeah,
massively.
I had that massively. It's funny because when you're sort of,
you've always been driven. Let's just
I've always been driven to try and do the things and tell the stories and do the stuff that I want to do. There was a moment when the first one, when our daughter was born, when Leonora was born, where people always go like, when you first meet your child, like you fall in love with them, and I will say that like that is true, but for me, I'm just like, I don't think that quite describes the feeling that was experienced. Like the change was huge. And I think like after that, like, yeah, it's suddenly every decision has weight to it and every choice has weight to it. And then there's things now where you'll be doing, like, I did actually get to do a play, last year. And yes, I noted that things in the play were landing very differently.
Also, you beat yourself up a lot in that first time when Leonora was here. Like, it was almost like someone had lit a firework up your ass. And it was this thing of, I haven't achieved this by this point, and now I have a child.
Yeah.
Oh my God, how can I bring things to her in the world? I'm not stable enough. I haven't got this amount of money yet. I haven't made this of my career. I'm going to be 40 at some point, and what can I give her? We had to have a chat and go, she's not going to care what you've achieved. She's just going to want her dad. Like,
and that was kind of my next question is are you choosing jobs based on how you think your children are going to look up to you? Does that change the dynamic?
I think at this point they're so young, but I know friends of mine who've chosen jobs for children theatre because they're like, my kid will love this.
Sure.
I can actually invite them to something and they'll be invested in me and my career, and it's like this wonderful crossover. I met someone, I was working on Snow White, and wonderful guy. And initially, my first point, never listen to my first point brain, always assess it. Is it valid? And I remember him saying, he was like, I don't do theatre anymore. And I was immediately like triggered, like, oh, you arrogant little, I don't do theatre. I'm too good for theatre. And I was like, oh, really? Why don't you do theatre? He was like, I've got 5 kids. And it's just the industry. It's like, and if you do a tour, he was like, and I went, oh, what do you mean? It was like, well, financially, I can't afford to do theatre unless it's something that blows me out of the park, like really excites me. And then I can try and compromise and talk to my family and be like, I really want to do this.
Sure.
But it's going to be £500 a week, £600 a week. Whereas if he can get a film job, he can get £600, £500 a day, depending on the job. And he's like, financially, it makes more sense if I'm lucky enough to do film. I will only do film and then take care of my kids in the time where I'm not working.
Sure.
And my first thought, because I had no children, was how nice for you, how entitled. And then when he explained, like very quickly, his explanation was so quick, it just landed. And I went, absolutely, I completely see why you would do that. That was the benefit of his family. And that's one thing. He was choosing work that benefited his lifestyle.
Sure.
Whereas before, without kids, I think you can be a lot more free with what you choose because you don't have anyone depending on you.
True.
I think it's a freedom, but it's like
it's not a trap.
It's not, And that I think
to anyone listening, it's not a trap.
No, and that was a big worry. I think going into it was, from my perspective, I'd always had this belief that, especially when I was sort of new in the industry and training and what have you many years ago, it was like I couldn't be a dad and I couldn't have kids, because if I was a dad and I had kids, that was it. Career was over. Because you can't have a career and be a parent. And then when it's actually happened, it turns out you actually can.
It's hard work.
It's hard work, and there's a lot more compromise and a lot more thought that has to go into it.
Sure.
But yeah, like that
changes your mindset.
It changes your mindset. And I think that was the big one was the change of mindset meant that things were like reflected on differently, or like different choices are now.
If you are in a position if you're financially, you've done very well, or you've got money behind you, I think it's a lot easier to work it. I've got to say that. I mean, come at me, people, if you disagree. But I think, like, if you have the money to put your children in childcare and you have that space and time to then dedicate to your career as well as do all the house stuff and take care of your children, like, that is such a privilege. There are people who do not have that.
Yeah.
Like, who do not have family nearby to take up the mantle.
But there's also people that would say, I would never want to put my child into childcare.
Yeah, and absolutely, that's the thing.
So
like,
it's such a mix, isn't it?
You have to do what's best. I just think if you want the time to dedicate to your career and you don't mind there are some people out there, I know fellow actors of mine who would love to put their children in childcare a lot more, but they just can't afford to.
Of course.
And then that's where they get that feeling of, oh, I feel my career has like completely died, or I'm not doing anything and now I'm not an actor. There's another one I hear a lot. Oh, you're resting. I've never met an actor who rests. You rest? No, that's like, even treading water is not resting. Like, if you're resting, you're what's it called? Whopping. You're just basically floating because you're just a floating oxygen bag.
You continued to work during your pregnancy, didn't you?
I did. When I was, I worked on Wicked, and I found out, I got the role, and then I found out I was pregnant. And of course had the conversation with production, and my wonderful friend, but also boss, who is the puppetry lead, Robin Guyver, he's got 3 kids, and he is a champion of, I want to say, pregnant women around. Please find him and give him applause. He basically has worked with people who've been pregnant on his shift. And he's like, cool, we'll just do what you're comfortable with, but absolutely you'll work. You tell us what you're comfortable with. You set the goalposts. And I just worked up until I was 8.5 months pregnant.
Wow.
Like, on all fours with arm extensions, playing the goat, like giving the movement to assistance to the VFX team. And it was great to be working because immediately you feel like, oh gosh, I'm not going to work because I'm now in this vulnerable position. But the medical team were great. Like, it was funny. I remember Cynthia and Ariana like found out I was pregnant. They're like, are you okay? Are you going to be okay? And they were like, get this woman like a chair. And I was like, no, it's fine. I'm absolutely fine. This is actually really comfortable for me. I just locked my legs. That was really nice. This pregnancy, it was just frustrating because there were a few opportunities that came that involved travel. So nothing to do with production saying you can't do anything, but just logistics of,
sure,
we can't insure you and you can't travel right now because you're within your 7 months, 8 months.
I read that you were upset you didn't get Teletubbies.
Oh, that was years ago. Not through pregnancy. That's just lack of talent. No, I went for it. And the girl who got it, absolutely mind-blowingly, I should have got it and did get it. But I remember being like, oh my God, this would be the most incredible job. I'll probably be set for about 3 or 4 years doing this wonderful franchise I grew up with.
Yeah.
And I can be like, I'm a Teletubby. This is awesome. And I didn't get it. I was like, this is so gutting. Like, you should never want things. Because then if you want them, invariably you probably won't get them. I hear that a lot. But it was one of those things where I did end up understudying for a couple of days. And the girl who did it is this wonderful girl, Rochelle Bennett. I hope you're saying your surname properly. Please don't find me. And she's a stunt woman and also an actor. And she'd hurt herself. And so for 2 days, I was just jumped in the deep end, played Poe. And I was like, dream accomplished. I am Poe. But it was for 2 days and it was great. But that was one I wish I'd actually had. But the right person invariably will get it in this industry. That's the thing.
Sure. You always hear in interviews where people are like, oh, I auditioned for such and such and I never got it. And you always hear that. And they're always like, but the person that did get it.
I can see why they got it. Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing we've always said, like, it's hard to celebrate people's successes when you don't feel that you're succeeding.
Sure.
But if you can do that, it makes life so much easier for yourself because you realize it's not personal. If you can celebrate even the people getting the roles you thought you were right for, something's going to come around the corner. And even if it doesn't, it just wasn't meant to be. It's like, unless it's nepotism, in which case then you can frown on it. But nepotism with talent, I have a bit more patience for. It's one of those, it's like, if you're talented, then okay, it's fine. It's okay. That's just networking. But it's one of those things that if it goes to the right person, celebrate it. unless they are an evil piece of work, then you can begrudgingly be like, not that person, please. But if they're nice people, they've worked hard, and they've got it out of talent and merit, maybe a bit of luck, applaud.
I always say you get from the world what you give.
Yeah.
So what would be your dream role?
I don't know. Like, everything's always evolving. Somewhere I could action role with a bit of comedy, because I love Alex Borstein's one of my like heroes. I think she's phenomenal. But something that's got a bit of comedy in it, a bit of action. I love a bit of a fight. But I'm also a singer, so anything that's got a bit of creative musicality to it.
Sure.
Like Glee was one of the things I grew up watching, but I also love like action movies as well, like Die Hards and all those. So a culmination of my talents, like Toxie Avengers coming out, and I did the prosthetics for Toxie, and I did the movement. Hi, buddy. Oh, yes, that was a long time ago, and you weren't even here. Yeah, this is Alfie. He's trying to tell his story on the version.
He is.
And that had an amalgamation of acting as well as prosthetics works and creature, which I really love. I love doing movement. And it was a huge challenge because my biggest objective in that was not to be recognized.
Wow.
Which usually is the like complete opposite. And I took it and I wanted it because I was like, this is great. If I can be invisible and everyone goes and watches it and says, oh, that was definitely Peter Dinklage, I have done an amazing job. And that's what I want to do. I want to be able to be like, you didn't even know it was me. If someone goes, I could tell that was your walk, I'll be like, damn it. So we studied and we went there, and Peter did a lot of work with me in terms of movement and his choices. I remember talking to my agent and other people about the role and saying, oh, just watch him in other things and then you'll be able to see how he moves. I'm like, no, that defeats the purpose, because in everything he's done, he has made character choices for that role.
That's so true.
That's not Peter. Like, he's an amazing actor who makes choices for the role. So I won't know until I get there, and I know what he's done with Winston Goose.
Yeah.
I can't just be Peter Dinklage. What an insult. I'll just watch you in your normal day life on the red carpet, see how you move, how you wave. That would be great. And I'll just put it into the role. It'll be fine. We'll do all the research beforehand. Enjoy Bulgaria. But it was good to see his energy. He's a lot calmer than I am.
Okay.
He's very like stoic, but also very intense, very dramatic. It was a real learning experience watching other actors, especially someone like Peter who's done so much, but also his caliber is out there. And I learned a lot. And there's moments in this, I wouldn't ever say this, but Macon, the director, would be like, okay, great, we'll do a rehearsal in like a little office space. And he'd be like, right, okay, Peter, you do your line. And he'd do the scene, and I'd be like, oh, this is amazing. It's so wonderful. I can really feel it's a visceral experience. It's great to see you work. And go, now, Louisa, you do yours. Like, why am I following? Peter, can I do it first and then he does it? Like, this would be great. This would be great for me right now because I'm feeling very insecure. It was actually really comforting to know that they would see me in the same period, like the same group.
Sure.
So, and it was very collaborative and very much like, let's get this energy, let's get this feel. And then Peter went, and I was now in charge of channeling Peter in my performance. So that was one where it was a bit of an amalgamation. But in this industry, I don't know, I get excited if I see something and it really appeals. Like, and it could be anything because you never know what's around the corner.
Sure.
What about you, Mike? Because otherwise I'll talk for Britain.
I was just funny while you've been talking, I'm just trying to think. And I think for me, like, just a role that's just well told, like in a story that is well thought out and has something to say.
Yeah.
And I guess something that I care about.
And does it have to be fiction or nonfiction?
No. I've played, and I did I've done 2 docudramas where I've played real life people, which I thought was an interest. Was in. Hello, Al.
Hi, Betty.
I've done 2 docudramas where I've, played real people. Granted, they're historical characters, so Guy Fawkes and
not like something that people wouldn't know.
Although I do, it's really funny. I look at myself in that. I was like, I couldn't get his beard. I couldn't get it. I wish I was able to get his. Doesn't matter about the hat. The hat's cool. Wearing his hat and wearing the costume was brilliant. But I was like, yeah, I just didn't get his beard. I can't remember the name of the scientist that I played. Humphrey Davy.
Humphrey Davy.
There we go. Yeah. So I guess they were both kind of interesting to play real life people, but because they're historical characters, I could make choices that were for me, I guess.
Sure.
And then I've done, I've also done fictional work where it's been like really intense characters, or just
ones you can breathe your own life.
Yeah, just some of the ones you can breathe your own life into and just give a bit of weight to and a bit of things. Like I one of the loveliest jobs, lovely wasn't lovely, but I think one of the most rewarding jobs I ever did was a play in a small theatre in Twickenham. And because it was a community theatre that I used to be part of, they came back to me one day and they were like, "Oh, we're doing this play called Night Must Fall," and it's a 1930s play, and there's this character in it called Dan, and Dan's basically a psychopath. Like he is, and there's no doubt about it. Like he is the killer. Right. It's the entire play. It's just the entire tension of the play is about the fact you know he's the bad guy, but you're just waiting for him to, what's he going to do, And they came to me and they were like, "Oh well, we don't think if Dan doesn't work, the play doesn't work. So
no pressure.
No pressure. Would you consider doing it?" And I was like, "Well, I can either sit at home twiddling my thumbs, staring at the wall, doing nothing, or I can go."
You never twiddle and do nothing. You're working to get other things or doing a self-take.
No, that was my thought process with this was I can literally sit and twiddle my thumbs, or I can go and entertain 90 people for a night for a week. And so I chose to do that. And I went and met the director in a bar in Richmond. I just remember, I think I said to her, I wanted to do it, but I didn't want to. It was in my eyes, it was a very 1930s view on psychopathy, which was, I'm really angry and aggressive, and then I'm really happy and nice, and and it was just up and down like that. And so I just said to her, I was like, "Look, I want to do it, but I want to make it like Ted Bundy's walked in the room." And so I spent 3.5 weeks of rehearsals, watching lots of interviews with lots of nefarious people, and like really deconstructing psychopathy, and then creating like a really convincing backstory for Dan. To be honest, I think a lot of people were like, "No, he would never do that," or like they didn't like the way that I did it, and I was like, well, this is what I want.
People want villains to come across as villains, but they're only villains because you catch them. And
they do, but
they work.
That's so true.
So I think the people that didn't like it were also the more, I want to say, traditional theatre going people. So for them, it was like it was so far removed. The character ended up being so far
from their idea of a
from their ideas of what a 1930s guy would be like.
Oh, I see.
Whereas I brought a very modern sensibility to it. But it made the character ended up being really dangerous. Like it felt really dangerous. And by the end of it, I think one of the best comments I ever got was towards the end, when somebody went, "Oh, you're not playing Dan, you are Dan."
And then I had 2 children with him.
I was just going to ask, do you find it difficult to turn the character off?
That one I did. It's the only time where I started to like feel odd things in myself. Like I would have really odd dreams that I would like note down. I was like, it's a bit disturbing, that. And then I remember being because it was around the time when I was doing Meisner training as well. And I remember being in class one day, and I would get consistent notes from my fellow peers or the people I was doing scenes with, where they were like, you just don't seem like you're here. And that's where I kind of went, oh, hang on a second, And I really made a thing of kind of tracking the feeling. And yeah, like for about two weeks after the play was over, I was still felt a bit odd. But it's like, that's the only time, I think that's the only time I've ever pushed it that far. And I think after that, I sort of went, this is, acting is play, and it's I don't need to force myself to become a psychopath to kind of play.
Well, I think you're being like unkind to yourself. I mean, you weren't forcing yourself. There are different methods to achieve a character.
No, there is, and
there's the method approach.
Yeah, and that
it's all a toolbox.
And I think that was my experience of doing that methodology with it.
I mean, it's very hard for me because I play goats a lot of the time. So coming back from that, you start eating tablecloths. That's a slow progression from away from that. But yeah, I stopped buying basil from Sainsbury's because otherwise, very slow.
I did do that actually. But I think, it comes back to something you said earlier about like the changes that take place when you have a kid. Me doing that role was very much from a time sort of pre-children. So it was very much about I'm in the craft and I've got to deconstruct myself to create this character and what have you. I don't think I would do that now.
Okay.
In fact, actually, I know that I wouldn't do that.
Wow.
Because the play that I did last year, there was a point when the director kind of said to me, he was like, oh, like he said, we'd done rehearsals. He said, "Oh, go home and maybe meditate on this point or reflect on this and have a think about this." And I think I went, no, I'm good. I'm parking this at the door and I'm going to go home and I'm going to spend time with my family. And that's what this has now become. It's become where the work stays in the room and I go home.
Sure.
And it's family life.
If your children grow up and want to get into the industry, would you encourage that?
I'll encourage anything that they want to do, but I would question them heavily. You have watched us. Have you learnt nothing? Are you sure? I think you've got to go with what they want. I mean, if they want to, then I think we're in a position to help guide them because we've learnt all the mistakes or pitfalls, shall we say. But as long as they are empathetic, kind people who have integrity and can speak up for themselves and other people, I wouldn't mind what they do, to be honest.
Yeah.
And actually, if they do enter this industry, welcome. We need more people like that,
So true.
What was it I said when you were pregnant with Leonora? I was like, Leonora's been on more films. Yeah. My kids have been on more film shoots than I have in my career. This is ridiculous.
Tell me about Castaway.
Yeah, that was something I wrote. We're trying to be productive, and it's a story I always wanted to tell. I heard a lot about, I have a few issues with my mental health. I'd had an eating disorder for about 10 years, trying to get over it. I had it for about 2 years at uni. And then in my third year, tried to basically go, oh, this is silly. I need to stop it now. It's getting too often. It's like bulimia. And I realized at that point, I couldn't get over it. And I was like, this is silly. I'm a strong, independent person who's quite intelligent, not blowing my own trumpet here. I can stop this. I just need willpower. And at that point, it started to really hit me of, I am not choosing this. This has chosen me. And now this has control over me. And it's flipped now. Me thinking I had control over this and was just using it as a coping thing or a tool. Now, and it's going to sound odd, but I became the tool. I was like, sure. God, I'm in the grip of it. How do I get over it? And I realized that academically, yeah, maybe I had done really well because you give me some lines, I'll learn it. You give me information, I will regurgitate it. I will be on it. But emotional intelligence, I had never been trained in. I had never been taught about my own or how to control it or understand it. And then I was learning. I was like the toddler of my own emotional intelligence at the age of 21. And that became learning about that and then having to implement it on an eating disorder, which was also affecting my mental health, my physical health, how I saw everything else, my stress levels, how I was living.
How did it affect your work?
I was still going in and doing an MA afterwards. So I was still very much from an outsider's perspective, still moving, but I was very depressed, very upset. My brain was always on food, because that was how I dealt with stress.
But also you're an actor. So
I'm an actor, so I have to keep going. But then you do dance classes. And I was very I think a lot of my self-esteem was on how I looked and how that was seen or valued by other people. And actually I should have just not really given a crap because I don't think any of my friends would have said the words I said to myself. So why was I then saying it? Sure. And it took a long time to get over that.
Did you ever look back at some of the things you worked on and hated the way you looked?
Oh, it's weird because
while you were acting,
while I was doing it, yeah, I was like, God, I look fat in that. Or looking back now, I'm like, no, there are different acting choices I would have taken. But yeah, there was so much focus, so much attention and energy on being a certain way, being quite military with you are never going to achieve this look or be the person you want to be or have these skills and be this butterfly that comes out of their cocoon. And everyone's now going to be like, you're amazing. And you did all this. It was very military. You're going to go outside, you're going to fit into these clothes, you're going to look amazing and have all these skills after uni and you're going to take the world by storm. And in the end, I just became completely paralyzed by this thing that I needed to get over. So I could just have a healthier attitude towards things and actually appreciate me. And actually it wasn't about the food. It was about how I didn't understand me and how I deal with things. But what I was trying to control is the outside me because that's where I thought I was going to get my own accreditation and, value.
Did it change your whole outlook on life in general?
Yeah, it made me, understanding me, helped me understand other people. Psychology, once you understand yourself and you become empathetic and you can self-reflect and go, where have I gone wrong? Why is this not a given in how you should act or how other people are? There's a phrase in our family where my mum used to say, if something didn't happen a certain way that she would do it. She's like, well, people should know. And I would say that in my counseling. Well, people should know that that's hurtful. They should know that you shouldn't do that. And I remember my counselor going, well, why should they know? I was like, because everyone knows you don't put your shoes on like things. Everyone knows that you say thank you. And they were like, well, how do you know it? Because I was bloody taught that. And she went, yeah, well, what if other people have had that? Of course they've had that. What if they haven't? You don't know how they've been brought up. You don't know their experiences. Everyone's got a different one. So there needs to be a certain level of space where you give that like patience and understanding and like almost like license for people to maybe not know that. So if you can think, what if they don't? You give a little bit more space to that. And then you can ask questions and go, maybe they don't. Maybe they're not doing it to be personal or spiteful. You can ask them and go, did you know that? And if they go, yes, you go, yeah, okay, you are a spiteful dick. But it's having that second thought of going, they may not have the experiences you have.
It's true.
So I became more, I don't know, is it more patient with people or more understanding or appreciative that unless I ask questions to determine what I need to know, I can't make an assessment on people's behavior.
Yeah.
I can't assume. And a lot of the things I was feeling was based on assumption.
Yeah.
Like they're being horrible to me because they should know that I shouldn't want to be left on my own. And they were leaving on their own because they thought I needed time to get over my depression. Little things with like interactions with people. And it's like, if you don't ever talk and discuss where people are coming from, assumption, it's The Long Kiss Goodnight. It's a film. It's very cheesy, but there's a line in it by Samuel Jackson. You never make an assumption. It makes an ass of you and umption. And it's one that I now live by. It's my creed. Don't make an ass of you or umption. You should never make if you don't know, ask questions. And if people aren't willing to answer, it's usually more about them than it is about you.
Definitely.
But yeah, it made me so much more understanding of myself and what I was willing to put up with. But then that's where you put the work in then.
Sure.
Because I remember going, the minute I realized that actually I did have a voice that was valid, because a lot of that was about me going, I don't want to be unpopular. God, everything's a reputation. Don't rock the boat. Don't say what you want to say because actually it's not important.
You don't want to make it worse.
Don't want to make it worse. And a lot of that was going, you do have a valid voice. It's the way you communicate it. And I went from not having a voice at all, feeling very insecure, to then being really loud and aggressive because I was like, I now have permission.
Sure.
And then it was finding that balance. You know, people would be like, you were so aggressive. You were so rude. And I'd be like, no, I wasn't. I have a voice. And they were like, yeah, but you have responsibility with that voice. And now I think I've learned that I can say what I need to say and I'm not responsible for someone's reaction unless I have been out of order in the way I've approached it.
Sure.
But if I have said something in a respectful manner, your reaction is up to you. That is on you.
It's true.
So I now try and say things in a respectful way. And then if you want to come at me with something, I'm like, okay, that says more about you than it does about me. I've been in the industry so long now, I feel like I can probably do that. And I've met people who are really high up in echelons. It happened on Wicked. I won't say who it was, but I'll say she was wonderful because she's a main talent on it. And she basically said people were getting their food. It was like something similar to that. And she was like, oh, these people haven't had their food yet. No, we're doing the main talent first. No, she went, absolutely not. Get everyone their food all at the same time. And then was like, I don't care. And she was like, I've done this long enough. I don't care. You know, what are they going to do? Fire me? I don't care. I had a job with the director once. He didn't like me. So I still had the job. I don't care. Get these people their food. I don't care if you like me or not, but they need to eat. And I remember thinking, I love you. Because she was still like decent about it, but she was like, absolutely not. Why are you doing this there's no hierarchy. We're all on the same project.
Exactly.
She's like, everyone eats at the same time. It's called lunchtime.
Yeah.
And she was great, but she just did it in such a flamboyant way that it wasn't aggressive. She was just like, no, I will not eat. This stays closed. My polystyrene box will stay closed until everyone has food. And I remember thinking, yeah, I want to be used.
Yeah.
It's great when you have that standing where you feel, and if she said it out loud, she was like, look, I'm in a situation now where I know I have a certain billing that I feel I can do it. And with great power, lunchtime power, comes great responsibility. And she was like, look, I know I can do it. I'm not scared.
Sure.
But as you're going up, there is this anxiety of what if I speak out?
True.
I think we all need to, at a certain level, if it's punitive, if it's unfair, we need to be able to go, I'm really sorry. I get that you're a director or I get that you're an actor. I get that you're quite well known, but I feel uncomfortable with the way you're dealing with this.
Sure.
Like, I don't think this is respectful.
Yeah.
And then if you can do that in a respectful way and they come at you, then you can just go, well, look, I was unlucky. They're a douchebag.
Yeah.
Like, it just is what it is. You're always going to find those people.
Definitely.
Just try not to be one of them yourself.
Exactly. What do you have in the making at the moment?
But in that, no more children. Woo, that's finished. 2 is Armax. I'm doing a Netflix series at the moment, which we're trying. Which is funny enough, I auditioned for when I was 9 months pregnant with Leonora.
Wow.
First. And I remember going into the audition going, I am so pregnant. Like, I hope they're doing it from the chest up, because this is crazy. And I remember thinking, I'm not going to get it. Like, I'm so pregnant right now. This is not the look they want. This is they wanted someone who had good stunt skills, who like was physically quite active. I was like, look at me. The most I could do is commit to a box set. That is the most I could do right now. So I did the audition. I loved it. Didn't hear anything. Like, had Leonora. And it was when she was 6 months old. They were like, great, so we'd like to availability check you for this series.
Wow.
And so since then it was like series 4 on a Netflix thing. I can't say what it is yet, but it will be out, I think, sometime this year. I had a great time just filming it. And then Mike took up the mantle with taking care of Leonora because she wasn't at nursery at that time. So we just chopped and changed it. And
wow.
So that's what I'm doing at the moment.
Are you finished filming it, or are you?
We've got a few more dates. I've got like one date in July and then another one coming up late in the year. So it's not a massive role, but it's so good to be part of a series that really excites me.
Sure.
And that's one of those like round the corner moments where you're like, my goodness, pinch me. How is this happening? But yeah, that's coming up. And then the stuff that is so funny because when you're vocal on social media about your successes, I do both. There was a time I think it's 2 years ago, I was like, my New Year's resolution is to post about the good and the bad on my social media because I don't care. It's not an advertising tool for me. It's my social media. I can say what I bloody like. And everyone is just, it's a friend of mine called Josh Benson. Hey, friend. He basically put something on his Facebook and it resonated so highly with me. It was my New Year's resolution.
Wow.
He said, everyone is comparing themselves to the highlights of other people. And it was like, that is what social media is right now. Everyone is putting up their highlights. So when people are watching it outside of that context, they are brutalizing themselves because they're like, oh, I'm doing so badly.
Yeah.
I'm terrible. I'm failing in everything. Like, you're literally watching the highlights of this sports match.
Yeah.
And going, oh, well, our game is really boring. Well, yeah, but you've got 90 minutes and they've got 15 of the best bits.
Yeah.
It's a lot more palliative that way.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm going to do the good and the bad.
I love that. I have a friend told me the other day, she was like, people are basing on likes on social media. And she's like, in real life, so she goes, say that you make a post, you get 12 likes. And you're like, oh, I think I'm going to take it down because there's only 12 likes. And then she said, but if you went out in real life, to the grocery store, would 12 people give you a positive comment about something? So take those 12 likes. Exactly.
I would do that app.
Yeah. So like,
also, why are you posting?
Yeah.
Like, what is the motive for posting if you're then going to take it down because you didn't get the likes you needed?
True.
It's like,
yeah. But that's what they do. That's what people do. And that is sad.
I think that's about affirmation. Like, where are you seeing your value?
Yeah.
Coming from the outside. And we need to teach people that value comes from the inside and outside is just your friends and everyone else.
Definitely.
Like, also, don't have yes people around you.
No. And
you never know how to rate yourself.
That's right. And someone I just interviewed the other day said to me, she loves social media. She posts the good, the bad, the ugly. Yeah. And she's like, everything is just real. Yeah. And she said, if social media is making you feel bad about yourself, you're following the wrong people.
Yeah.
And I love that she said that. Yeah.
And if you don't want to be authentic on social media, you see it as you're building a character, just go into acting. Like,
yeah.
You said something to me actually. I think it was last year or the year before. So I'm one of these people where I do sort of take in what people post, and I did find myself sort of going down the rabbit hole a little bit of comparing and comparison.
Everyone does it.
And I was like, well, okay, this is what I'm doing. This is how I'm feeling about it. And then there was a point where I went, you know what? I'm just going to turn Facebook off. It was a Facebook thing. So I was like, I'm just going to turn Facebook off, and I'm going to do it for a year.
Wow,
a whole year. And the first time I thought about doing it, I didn't do it. Like, it literally lasted like a week, and I put it back on again. But then, there was one a couple of years ago, about 2 years ago. I got to January the 1st, and I went, you know what? No, I'm going to commit to doing this because I want to know what the experience is like of not having Facebook there for a whole year.
Yeah.
I haven't turned it back on.
Yeah.
Wow.
I haven't turned it back on. In fact, I changed my password and made it so complicated that
you'll never remember it.
I can't remember it. So in order for me to
post on Facebook, can you see what this person said about that post?
In order for me to remember it, I have to do forgotten passwords. But by the time I've done that and had to then log into an email address that have to go through about 2 different steps together. I'm just like, I can't be bothered with this. I just can't be bothered with it.
You started your sentence with, I remember something you said to me last year, and then we never got to that bit. It's about me. What did I say to you?
What, you sit and you go?
No. I remember it. You were talking about something on Facebook.
No, it was.
I said, make sure you're doing it for the right reason.
Yeah, no, it was where you said that Facebook is a tool.
I said it's a tool.
It's a tool.
People are always the issue.
People
like, I don't think social media is bad. I think our relationship to it is the problematic thing.
Yeah.
I think if you are going, oh, this hammer is a bad hammer because I keep hitting myself in the face with it, you need to address the fact that you're hitting yourself in the face with it. The hammer ain't nothing bad about it. But people always go, oh, social media is terrible because, people have low self-esteem. It's like, but your relationship to it, you're going to find that everywhere you go.
It's true.
If you take off your Facebook, your Instagrams, you're still going to do it when you look in a mirror. Or if you see someone with nice clothes and you're like, oh, I wish that was me. That's not fair.
Yeah.
Like, everyone seems to have this and I don't. If you are comparing, it doesn't matter what you're doing it through. The vehicle is not the issue.
No.
So I said, if you want to, I've seen so many people who come off social media and it's because they know that they are more likely to feel worse about themselves with that trigger.
Yeah.
So they've taken it away knowing that that is the issue. But they have never gone, social media was the issue. They're going, I find it hard to relate to it, so I'm taking it away.
Yeah.
I'm like, I've got all the time in the world for that. But it's when people go, social media is the issue, so I need to come off it. You're not addressing the real source of the issue there.
No.
So, it can be wonderful, but that's why I don't use it all the time. Like, I will only post, people use it as a business. I'm like, you do you.
Yeah.
That is a full-time job. You do you. I don't understand how people do it because I find it super impressive, but also horrifying at the same time. I don't want to document my life.
Yeah.
I don't want to be an influencer. I would hate to be influencing someone to do anything through me. I'm like, go out, put your phone down. If I influence you to do anything, go out, have a holiday. Don't live through me. Don't listen to me. Unless you find something that you've liked in there. Like, I will talk about mental health. I will talk about things your family don't want to talk about. Unless it's like bank accounts. If it's your experience, you shouldn't be silenced. Talk about whatever you want to talk about within reason, as long as you're not hurting people. But it's this thing of going, I now need to live vicariously. What did this person tell me to do? What are they dressed like? I'm like, be inspired, but don't be indoctrinated. Social media should not be, in my opinion, and it has become an advertising tool. It's just another marketing campaign.
Yeah. I'm so lucky that growing up through school I did not have social media.
No.
So I can't imagine my niece.
So many kids in my family now, and everything is like swiping new things I'm not even aware of. I'm like, I'm going to have to deal with it with these guys.
Yeah.
But you've already said, it's like, someone asked us, when are you going to give Leonora a phone? Like, she's 2 next week.
When she's old, what is it we said?
When she's old enough to have the conversation about why she needs it.
Yeah.
That's a great answer.
And we go, okay, cool. But it's a lot of the time it's them not saying why they need it. It's parents going, well, I need to keep an eye on you.
Yeah.
You need to be able to phone me and check in. I'm like, no. You're going to get a phone. I'll get you a Nokia 8210 if it's just checking in on you.
I miss those days of playing.
Or one of those flares they put in lifeboats.
Yeah.
Have one of those. It's less dangerous than a phone. And I can still track you via the flare.
Exactly.
I won't tell you about the carrier pigeon.
Yeah, carrier pigeon. There's so many pigeons. Let's say put them to work.
What are you guys most excited about coming up in the future?
Oh, that's a hard one, isn't it? You don't want to wish the time away.
I know.
It's like...
Is it really corny to say the future itself?
Yeah, having one.
Yeah.
Hoping that you live long enough to enjoy many experiences. But I'm not yes, career highlights would be great. Yes, feeling that, not even that you're famous, but that you can say you're successful enough to support yourselves in this industry and feel creatively challenged, but also fulfilled. I think I'm just looking forward to having fun with my family. These guys hopefully will be they're coming along for the ride.
Yeah.
We've never subscribed to this idea of the kids are the kids and we're the adults. I'm like, no, you guys, unfortunately, you've sucked into this now. You us crazy parents. So when we go somewhere, you come in too, unless it's school, in which case we might have to.
It is kind of funny, I guess, in some respects, how
they're part of the team.
The minute that the focus has shifted to bringing up the kids. Yeah. Things just suddenly start happening in the background or coming in from the side, and now everything's like, oh, okay, I've got to deal with you now, whereas before it was like doing
something to deal
doing
with.
some self-tapes or something, having just suddenly a whole slew of self-tapes to do, where now it's like, okay, I've got to do myself, self-tapes and right now back to the kids, so I think it's
wonderful to get self-tapes.
I think for me, I think watching the kids grow up is kind of the most exciting.
I'd love us to be, we've always said this just selfishly to ourselves, we'd love to be at a point in our career where we're both doing really, really well and we can worry less about the opportunities, like that we're not chasing the opportunities and the opportunities are almost chasing us. That is like the dream platform where you can be in a position where jobs are coming to you and you're like, oh, there's too many. I just can't choose which one, which never happens. It happened once where I had 2 jobs back to back. And I was like, this is amazing. And then the fire at Pinewood happened and they made me choose. And I was like, why? You know, it became this like, why, God? I was like, no. I was like, this is perfect. I had 5 weeks on this, which was amazing creature work thing. 2-week hiatus to have fun. And then another 10 weeks at Pinewood. And they were like, no, we're going to shift it back. When do you mean back? You mean forward, right? You're going to do further on in the year. No. So now there was a crossover of 1 week.
If I remember rightly, didn't that happen when we were on the beach in Castaway?
Yeah, it did. I found out
you were having a deal with
when we were filming. I was directing, and then I found out about the fire, and then I had an email through from my agent going, so they've basically they'll be pushing it forward in the year. They're not pushing it back, so you got later dates. And basically, you'll be filming sooner, and because you're contracted, if you don't take it, they'll recast.
Right.
And then I was like, right, let me get onto the other project, see if they can work around it. It's just a 1-week crossover. It's absolutely fine. It's a creature thing. Maybe, no. If you do not do it, we'll recast. And I was like, don't do this to me. Please, I'm never this lucky.
I do think
Please just work around me. And they're like, no.
You definitely made the right choice though.
Yeah. So it was the choice between a bigger role where I wasn't featured. It was a creature work thing, but it would have been a bigger role on a franchise I really wanted to do. Or a smaller role where I would be featured, but would do better for my acting career.
Sure.
And I chose that one.
Of course.
But I was like, you know, when you're like, you're like, someone up there is a comedian. So yeah, it's one of those things. You've got to go with the flow, take the punches and be like, okay, it's better to be in a position where you're having to choose between 2 things.
Of course.
Than never have the choice.
Of course.
So you just chalk it up and go, okay. Lovely. One of those things.
I like to do a little bit of quick fire questions.
Yes.
So let's see what you've got.
Oh, God. Do I have to do it in like as a character?
No, you do it as yourself. The tension is palpable.
I know this answer, but maybe people listening don't. How many languages can you speak?
Well, 1. Portuguese is my second language, but I speak it badly. And annoyed at Leonora when she doesn't speak. I'm like, at least speak it badly. I'm teaching you bad Portuguese at least. But yes, a 1, and then I need to work on my Portuguese. So I'm trying to speak Portuguese.
There's still 2 in my book.
It's 1.5. 1.5.
Well, I'm learning bad Portuguese.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, amazing. Like, at least you're learning bad Portuguese.
Finish the phrase. The way to my heart is food.
Through my chest. That's an old the way to my heart is through good behavior, treating me well, and making it sore.
Pizza.
Love that.
He's like, still on
he
food.
He says pizza, yeah.
He's like, it's always been food, guys. I can give you a list.
How do you show gratitude?
Actions and words. It's got to be both in my book. I've had enough of people going, well, I said it. Isn't that enough? You're like, no. You can't just say you care about people and then slap them around the face. The action has to reflect the words.
This is probably something that creates a lot of dynamic in our relationship, I think.
Not you.
No, because I do send you like messages and stuff and I say like I am thankful, but there's times where I'm like, do I show it enough? Like, do I show the actions enough? I try to.
Yeah. I mean, you don't actively do the opposite. That's my issue. It's like people who do the opposite and go, well, I've said that I care about you, but you're also treating me like shit. Yeah, I know, buddy. But no, I say at least you check in, and that's an action of care to actually check in and go, can I just make sure I'm showing you how much I care about you?
In 5 years, what will be your biggest accomplishment?
Oh, that's looking to the future, isn't it? In 5 years, what will be my biggest accomplishment? Staying the same height. I don't know, maybe not shrinking. Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's finally knowing what that will be. That's vague, but what will be my biggest accomplishment?
If the kids are happy for me.
Yeah, that will be it.
If the kids are happy
and polite
and they're sort of seem to be on a track of doing like what they want, but obviously being respectful and you know, good people, then I think that's going to be that'll be the biggest accomplishment.
Is it difficult?
Name one person that you admire.
Alex Borstein.
Luisa Guerreiro.
I woke up the child. Mike Archer, changing.
Can't take it back now, Lou.
Sorry.
And one question I love to ask is, what does love mean to you?
It's not about being perfect. It's about appreciation of someone with all of their flaws, knowing that that is essentially them. It's authenticity. I just love it. It's such a word that just means so much to everyone. When someone says love to me, I'm like, it is just love. Love is like caring about someone to the point where you will go out of your comfort zone because it's not about you. It's about how you feel about that. And that selflessness is love. Like, I would do anything for my kids. I would go out of my comfort zone for you. I would do anything for you. And that for me is love. You know, when you say you love something, you kind of do it more than yourself. That's me. I know other people are like, you're going to love yourself more than you do other people. I'm like, yeah, all right, well, get back in line, mate. All right, I get that. You still have to love yourself. But if you love other people, it's got to be at least on a par with you.
Definitely.
If not more. Like, that's how I see it.
I think I kind of agree with you. I think love is being there for another
or pet.
True.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Got to be there for your
being there for the thing that you have a connection with. But also, yeah, like being open. I think being open to who they are or what they are. You know, I'm not saying like, if someone's like complete douchebag and they're saying you have, you know, oh, well, I love this person, clobbers me around the head with a frying pan. Sorry to like that, but I love it. Like, no,
that's not love.
No, that's not. But like, yeah, just being there for the other person, being open to the other person for the good and bad. And
there's this thing, it's not conditional.
Yeah.
That's my biggest thing. People who say they love you and then when you disagree with them, suddenly you are not given the love. Or you're given this detachment. I'm like, no, you can still disagree with someone, invite them for a tea.
Of course.
You can disagree and love them. You just don't have to like them.
That's right.
Like what they're doing.
That's right.
But I'm hit with a lot of conditional love. And so I know, buddy, we don't do conditional love for you. We love you regardless, just not as a psychopath. You know, we just have to address that. But no, love is one of those authentic things. It's purely authentic. And oh, buddy,
yeah,
I know
that's a real chicken one.
Like even when he wakes me up 5 times at the night,
yeah,
I may detest the situation,
it's true.
but I love him to bits. I'm like, nothing's going to change. I'm still going to love you. But yeah, love is not conditional.
No,
and it's you put yourself out for that other person. That's how do you know you love them?
Yeah,
you put yourself second.
I do an episode every year for International Men's Day. What does being a man mean to you?
I think I want to say being strong, but only in a sense of like, you know, supportive. I don't think being a man is not about being the dominant one. It's being able to support yourself, your family, other people. It's funny. I have a real problem with when I see what I would consider to be like
the stereotype
masculine behavior. Yeah, I actually think being a man is being open. It's being open to the world and to feeling as well. Like I'm not trying to like stereotype sort of where I grew up, but there was always this preconceived notion that I always perceived was, you know, if you're a man, like you don't cry. If you're,
yeah,
you know,
I think we were all brought up that way,
and it's I don't think it's that at all. I think you can be vulnerable as a guy. You can be open, you know, and you don't always have to be hard with stuff. Like you can be soft.
Yeah,
you know.
I love that people are giving me that answer. And this, like, no one's given me an answer where I was like, oh my gosh, like you really surprised me. I didn't think. Everyone has given me such a great answer.
I'm biting my lip here because of the semantics of it all. It's because the answer is always there. And it's like, the question was, how is it to be a man?
What does it mean to you to be a man? Yeah.
And because I have this huge dislike of the gendering of our emotions.
Yeah.
I kind of think like there shouldn't be a question where it's what it is to be a man.
It should be
like,
a human.
It should just be human.
I know.
Like men and women, intrinsically, our behavior should be the same.
Yeah.
The way we deal with things is always going to be different. I think there's this argument for genetic makeup or preconditioning, everything. But essentially, you shouldn't be a man or be a woman.
Yeah.
You should just be a decent person. Like, there's no reason why we should have a night. Like, when I met Mike, my mum's Portuguese brain was like, but how is he going to support you? I'm like, well, I figured we kind of do it together. I know, radical, right?
But I think without resorting to sort of that stereotype, not to say it's a generational thing, but the world that our parents grew up in had a different dynamic. And that has now changed massively.
Look at us with paternity allowance.
They still call it mat leave. Like I just had to do it for staff members of mine, and it doesn't in the click box. It still comes under mat leave.
But if you're self-employed, men don't get it.
No,
they get none. Whereas if you work for a company that's PA, men can get it.
Yeah.
And I was like, so when I phoned up to get my maternity leave, they were like, you're not going to get a full award because you haven't paid throughout your tax year. So, well, how do I get the full award? You have to pay your national insurance contributions up to where that period, test period is. So as I was paying the shortfall in that, I was like, hang on a minute. So this is determined on how much national insurance I pay as to how much maternity allowance I get. He pays all of his national insurance, but doesn't get any.
Yeah.
So wait, we're all getting this allowance based on our national insurance, but because he's a man, he doesn't get any. Yeah. And yet he would.
I could literally write something about the it
annoys me. It really does.
The male experience of
being a father,
well, no, I was going to say going into hospital with a birth, because everything was obviously geared towards the woman who's giving birth, which is
the carrier,
which is fine, because that's what it should be. But my God, like, my experience was awful.
I think a lot of men,
because and I think
unless you're in your own room and it's
a lot of guys.
Nice
I've spoken to other guys who've had the same sort of very similar experiences, where it was literally like, I've got to be here with the partner who's going through this birth experience. Like, well, where do I sleep? Oh, it's a plastic chair in the corner, which. At one point, like, the room was so bloody hot, like I ended up with nappy rash.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, that's how it was. And then at one point, I was just like, literally, this chair is so uncomfortable. I might as well just sleep on the goddamn floor. And I literally put my bag on the floor and was lying out on the floor asleep. And then the nurse comes in and literally just steps over me and looks at her monitor.
But I remember he got up first to get on the floor and the chair was still attached to him. It was that hot.
Yeah, it was that hot. And then at one point, like, I think it was best typified where this was when Leonora was born. Like, Lou asked me to go and ask one of the midwives for some formula because she wasn't feeding. So I went out and I found this midwife and I said, is it possible to get a little bottle of cow? Like, quite innocently. My God, the look I got was like I'd literally
committed a genocide.
It's like I'd committed a genocide. And she went, well, I'll go get it, but you really should be bringing your own. And I walked back to Lou and I was like, and I literally said to Lou, I was like, Lou, I went, do not ask me to go and ask again, because literally I was worse.
Within 2 seconds, I went out and went, I'm so sorry, could I get some formula for the baby because I'm not producing any milk and we need it? And she went, absolutely, darling, I'll just bring it to you.
I said, you just stood there with mouth agog. I was like,
same midwife,
same question, same midwife, and yet the results was very different. And it's funny because actually, just to kind of round back a little bit to what you were saying about what you were saying, Lou, about the gendering of emotions and things, that to kind of link it back to the conversation about Castaway, that was one of the principal things in Castaway, was this idea of gendering
those phrases,
who should be depressed, like, don't be a
pussy.
Yeah. That was one of the reasons why, actually, when Lou sort of came to me with the project, I was really interested in what she had to say about it, because like that was one of the things that I sometimes heard growing up, was like, if she felt sad or you felt something, it's like, oh, you're a boy, boys don't cry, or like, grow up.
Yeah. Grow a pair of testes.
And
so
and
what,
was
now
like,
bravery is in your testicles?
Yeah.